Okay, let's jump in. Usually when we talk about the European Central Bank, the ECB, you're sort of mentally preparing for a chat about basis points, maybe inflation targets.
Right, or, the finer details of asset purchase programs.
Exactly. It's important stuff, no doubt, but it's not exactly a thriller.
It's designed to be boring. In fact, if a central bank is exciting, it usually means something's gone very, very wrong. Stability is kind of the whole brand.
Right. But today, well, today feels different. We're looking at a whole stack of reports here, an exclusive from the Financial Times, some stuff from Bloomberg, and some really deep analysis from ING and Nomura.
And the picture they're painting, it looks a lot less like a bank board meeting and a lot more like a political chess match.
Yeah, or like the season finale of Succession or something.
It really is. We're getting away from the math of the economy and into the raw politics of it all. We're talking rumors, secret strategies, a race against a ticking clock.
And the headline here is all about Christine Lagarde, the president of the ECB. Now, her term isn't up until October 2027.
On paper? Yeah.
But according to these reports, there's a very real chance she might leave early. And the reason isn't what you'd think. It's not burnout. It's not a better job. It's fear.
It's fear, specifically fear about the political direction of France.
So today, our mission is to unpack this. Why would Lagarde head for the exit? Who is so scared of the alternative? And what kind of crazy game of musical chairs kicks off if she actually goes?
Because picking a new leader for the ECB isn't simple.
Not at all. And it connects to this bigger question, really, about the future of Europe's stability. That tension between, democratic votes and institutional control.
That's the heart of it.
Okay, so let's dive in. The main scoop, it's coming from the Financial Times. They're reporting these rumors that Christine Lagarde is thinking about stepping down.
And not just stepping down, but stepping down before her 8-year term is up.
The timeline they mention is pretty specific. Before the French presidential elections, which are happening next April.
Right, and that timing, that is the key to this entire story. You have to look at the calendar.
If she stays until October 2027, the French election in April will have already happened.
Exactly. And the person sitting in the Élysée Palace in Paris could be, well, very different from who's there today.
The report says the whole point of her leaving early would be to let French President Emmanuel Macron and, who is it? The German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz.
Well, the presumed chancellor, yes.
Right. To let them jointly decide on her successor. Feels like they're trying to lock something in.
They're trying to lock in the status quo, or at least a version of it they can live with. The real driver here, according to the sources, is what you could call the Le Pen threat.
Marine Le Pen.
Yes. From the perspective of Brussels and Frankfurt, the rise of her party in France is, the word used in the reports is terrifying.
Terrifying.
We're talking about a Eurosceptic party getting closer than ever to taking power in one of the EU's founding members.
Now, to be fair, Le Pen has softened her stance a bit, hasn't she? The whole Frexit thing, leaving the euro, that seems to have quieted down.
That's true, she has. She knows it's not a vote winner. It scares people who worry about their savings. But, and this is a really big but, you look at her protege, Jordan Bardella.
The new face of the party.
Right, and his policy instincts haven't really changed. They've just become a bit more technical.
So what did he say that's got all the alarm bells ringing in the banking towers?
Well, Bardella stated back in November that their party would pressure the ECB to relaunch quantitative easing.
Okay, let's pause there. Quantitative easing, QE. We hear that term all the time. Can we just break down what it means in this context? Why is that such a red flag?
Sure. Think of it like this. Normally, a central bank uses interest rates as its gas and brake pedal for the economy.
Up and down.
Up and down. But sometimes the engine stalls completely. QE is like the bank popping the hood and just pumping fuel straight into the engine. They create new money electronically and use it to buy up government bonds.
So they're printing money to buy their own government's debt.
Effectively, yes. Which makes it much, much cheaper for a government to borrow money. It's like having a credit card with an interest rate of almost zero.
And Bardella wants this because France.
Oh.
Well, it has a pretty big credit card bill.
A very big one, yes. A significant deficit. Le Pen and Bardella, they want to spend money on their domestic programs, and they don't want the financial markets to punish them for it with high interest rates.
They see the ECB as a tool to help them do that.
They see it as a tool to help France. Whereas the orthodox view, the German view, the current ECB view, is that the bank exists to fight inflation for all of Europe.
And you don't use the money printer to just bail out politicians.
For them, that is the cardinal sin of central banking. It's called fiscal dominance. It risks hyperinflation, and it completely destroys the independence of the bank.
So the fear is this. Le Pen wins, then Lagarde's term ends, and Le Pen gets a say in who the next ECB president is.
And she might pick someone who, agrees with her view of the world.
Right. There's a quote here from Emmanuel Menchet at the Frankfurt School of Finance. He says, "There are good reasons to make decisions before the French elections."
He's basically saying it's easier to deal with Macron on this than it would be with Le Pen or Bardella. They have a fundamentally different idea of what the ECB is for.
So the strategy is get out early, let Macron pick the replacement while he's still in charge, and basically insulate the bank from a democratic vote.
That is the theory. Institutional inoculation, you could call it.
Of course, the ECB isn't exactly admitting to any of this.
Oh, no. Definitely not. The official line is very much, nothing to see here, move along.
Right. A spokesperson said the president is fully focused on her mission. And Lagarde herself, she told Bloomberg TV she's not a quitter.
She said she was fully determined to complete her term.
She even made a joke about being surprised it was an 8-year term, but that she intends to finish it.
Which is exactly what you have to say, right? You can't be a lame duck central banker. The second you hint you're leaving, your power diminishes. Your words don't move markets in the same way.
You have to project permanence right up until the end.
Until the very last second.
And this is where it gets really compelling. Despite all these denials, there's a precedent being set right now that makes this rumor feel much more real.
You're talking about the Bank of France?
Exactly.
Lagarde.
Governor François Villeroy de Galhau.
This is a critical piece of the puzzle. Villeroy isn't just some French banker. He sits on the ECB's governing council. He's a key player.
And it's been announced that he is leaving his post early.
He is? And why is that a big deal?
Because it gives Macron a chance to replace him.
Before the elections next year.
So one domino has already fallen.
It has. If the head of the Bank of France is already making a move to secure a successor before the vote, it makes the idea of Lagarde doing the same thing at the European level seem much, much more plausible.
It establishes a pattern of behavior.
Yes. Secure the institutions before the ballot box is open. It's a clear strategy.
That is it's incredibly strategic. It feels almost cynical.
Well, from their point of view, it's political survival. They'd argue they're protecting the institution from populism. The populace would argue they're rigging the game against the will of the people.
Both looking at the same facts and seeing two totally different things.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's play this out. Let's say the rumor is true. Lagarde steps down. The music stops. Who gets the chair?
And it's not just her chair, remember. The chief economist, Philip Lane, his term is up in May 2027. So there are multiple big jobs up for grabs.
And in Europe, these things are never just about finding the best person for the job, are they?
No, it's a complex dance of geography and nationality. There are these unwritten rules.
The informal rights.
Yes. The big economies, Germany, France, Spain, they basically have a permanent seat on the ECB's executive board. But there's a kind of rule of elimination here, too.
Which is what?
Well, the ECB has already had 2 French presidents. First, Jean-Claude Trichet, now Christine Lagarde.
So France's turn is over.
The chances of a third French president in a row are, let's say, virtually nil. You just can't do that in a union of 20-something countries. It would cause huge resentment.
Okay, so if France is out for the top job, who does that leave?
It really narrows the field, primarily to Germany and Spain. And the reports have a pretty clear shortlist.
All right, let's run through them. First up, from Spain, there's Pablo Hernández de Cos.
He's seen as a very, very strong contender. He was the governor of the Bank of Spain, and now he heads the Bank for International Settlement.
Which is like the central bank for central banks.
Correct. So he's got the pedigree, he's serious, he's technical, and maybe most importantly, Spain has come out and explicitly said it's ready for a leading role. They want this.
Is he a hawk or a dove on policy?
Generally seen as a dove, but a pragmatic one. So he wants to keep interest rates lower to help growth, which makes him popular with the southern European countries, France, Italy, Spain, who all have more debt.
Okay, so de Cos is the southern favorite. Who else? There's a Dutch candidate, Klusnat?
Yes, former Dutch central bank governor. The sources call him a potential surprise candidate.
The Dutch are usually pretty hawkish, right? Very strict, like the Germans.
They are. But Knott has kind of softened his image lately. He's moved more to the center, which some analysts think is him positioning himself for a top European job.
Okay, but What about Germany? They're the biggest economy, the paymaster of Europe. Surely they want the job.
Oh, they definitely do. The names being floated are Isabel Schnabel and Joachim Nagel, who's the current head of the Bundesbank, a classic hawk. But Germany has a very unique problem this time around.
What's that?
It's what the analysts are calling the von der Leyen factor.
Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission.
Correct. She's German. And she was just reelected. Her term runs until 2029.
I think I see where this is going.
Yeah. It is highly, highly unlikely, some would say politically impossible, for the rest of Europe to accept a situation where both the European Commission and the European Central Bank are led by Germans at the same time.
That's just too much power concentrated in Berlin.
Way too much. The EU is all about balance. If Germany holds the top political job and the top monetary job, the optics for France, Italy, Spain, they're just terrible. It looks like a German takeover.
So von der Leyen's job's effectively blocking a German from getting the ECB job.
It hurts their chances massively. As Karsten Brzezinski from ING points out in his analysis, the sooner the decision is made, the less likely a German president is, because von der Leyen is so firmly in place.
Which puts the Spaniard, De Cos, in a really strong position.
A very strong position is the quote, yeah. It solves the whole geography problem perfectly. You get a qualified guy from a major economy that isn't Germany, which is blocked, or France, which has already had its turn.
But hold on, what about the Dutch guy? Not.
Right.
If Spain, France, and Germany all have their permanent seats on the board, how does a Dutchman even get in there? There's no room.
That is the million-dollar question, and the answer is pretty brutal. If the big three hold their seats, there is no space for not, unless
What?
unless someone else resigns.
You're kidding.
The ING analysis floats a scenario where Frank Elderson, who is the current Dutch board member, might have to resign early to make space for not.
Wow. So, sorry, Frank, you have to take one for the team.
That's essentially it. If the Netherlands really wants not to be president, Elderson might have to fall on his sword to free up the Dutch slot.
That is some serious 3D chess. It shows how high the stakes are. We're not just talking about terms expiring. We're talking about actively engineering the composition of the board.
That's right.
So, is everyone on board with this idea of speeding up the timeline? Or is there some pushback?
Oh, there's definitely pushback. Not everyone loves the idea of, panicking and changing the rules.
You hit the brakes.
Mostly the rules people.
Yeah.
The Austrian finance minister, Markus Marterbauer, said he supports the usual schedule. And more significantly, the German finance minister, Lars Klingbeil, was very clear. He said the ECB has timetables and they should stick to them.
We will adhere to them. That sounds very German finance ministry.
It does, doesn't it? It's a desire for procedural correctness. The thinking is, if you start bending the rules because you're scared of an election, you damage the credibility of the rules themselves.
But then you have the French finance minister, Roland Lescure. When he was asked about it, he didn't say no.
No, he gave a classic non-answer. He just said Lagarde is obviously a great ECB president.
Right. He did say she's staying. He just gave her a compliment. That silence is pretty loud, isn't it? If the rumor was totally baseless, he would have just killed it right there.
He would have. By being ambiguous, he keeps the option on the table.
So where does this leave us? If you had to put money on it, who's the favorite?
Well, Nomura, the financial group, they've crunched the numbers, and their analysis puts De Cos in the lead.
Because of that whole Germany is blocked, France had a turn dynamic.
Partly, yeah. They think that leaves De Cos as the sort of Goldilocks candidate. Not too northern, not too French, highly qualified. He just fits.
But I saw a Bloomberg poll that said not is also seen as very likely.
It's a tight race. But the consensus seems to be that someone new is coming, and it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. The risk of waiting for the French election is just seen as too great by the powers that be.
It's really incredible when you step back. We're talking about the central pillar of the entire European economy.
Right.
And its leadership could be changing specifically to preempt a democratic outcome in one of its biggest countries.
That is the absolute crux of it.
So let's just recap for a second. We have the Financial Times report suggesting Lagarde might be out early. The reason is purely political.
Yeah.
To stop a potential President Le Pen from having any say over the ECB.
Correct. And to do that, they have to get a successor in place before next April.
And this has kicked off a huge scramble. France is out of the race. Germany is blocked because of von der Leyen.
Which leaves Spain in a very strong position, with the Netherlands maybe looking for a way to squeeze in.
And all of this is playing out while officially everyone is denying that anything is happening at all.
It's a fascinating look at how the sausage gets made in Brussels and Frankfurt.
It really is. It reminds you that these central banks, we think of them as these sterile mathematical places.
Just economists and computers in a tower.
Yeah. But they are so deeply tangled up in the political realities of the continent. The real tension here is between political sovereignty, the right of French voters to choose who they want, and this desire for institutional stability.
That's it. The ECB wants to maintain its orthodox policies no matter who wins an election.
Which brings us to the big final question to leave everyone with.
Go on.
If the current leadership feels it has to bend the rules, move the goalposts, and rush appointments just to protect the institution from an election, does that actually make the ECB stronger?
Or does it inadvertently prove the critics right?
How so?
Well, if you have to rig the schedule to keep the quote-unquote outsiders out, are you just confirming their accusation that the ECB is a closed shop, totally disconnected from the will of the people?
That's a question that could come back to haunt them, couldn't it? No matter who gets the top job.
It certainly could. At the end of the day, the only real currency a central bank has is trust. And moves like this, they spend a lot of that trust.
We will definitely be watching to see if Lagarde makes a move. For now, thanks for listening to this deep dive.
A pleasure.
See you next time.